one of the reasons people go, well, how long, why have you done so well, or how have you made it? This is plan A. I don't have a plan B.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I learned how to do something and I figured it out. Luckily, I had a large corporation, $1 billion, $10 billion corporation called Kodak that taught us. But once I learned my trade 8 years in, I went out on my own. And I burned the boat mentality. I wasn't going to jump around. I was all in.
Matt Woolley Podcast.
All right.
Hello, Matt.
Hello, Tim Stanley.
Good to see you, Matt Woolley.
Thank you for being here, Tim Stanley. How long have I known you, Tim Stanley?
Almost 2 decades. 15, 20 years? 15, 20 years.
Closer. Yeah, it's pretty close. Yeah. It's crazy. Where does the time go? So who is Tim Stanley? As you guys know, actually, let's stop right there. This is the Matt Woolley Podcast. Please like and subscribe. I'm being told I need to say that more often.
Yes, you do.
Our guest today is Tim Stanley. So who is Tim Stanley? He is a graduate of the University of Illinois.
No S, Matt. If you're from there, you know.
So it's Illinois.
Illinois. The University of Illinois, the Fighting Illini.
So quick little call out here. As I was talking through with Tim right before we started the interview, I realized that I was not properly educated on how to pronounce Illinois.
Illinoisan, yes.
And all of my life I have said Illinois. So there's probably, and I feel stupid for doing that, but I've never been corrected. And you don't know what you don't know, Tim.
Well, you learned something new today. And the Fighting Illini is no longer the Chief Illinois is no longer the mascot.
Who
for
is?
The unit. Yeah, that's just a big eye.
Really?
Yeah, they just call it the big.
So what happened there? Do we know?
The same thing that happened to the Washington Redskins. And
oh, really?
Yeah,
that's a shame.
Yeah.
Well.
But it turns out there's really nobody left from the Illinois tribe. So unlike Florida State, there was nobody left to pay.
So we're not really offending anybody, but we changed it anyways?
Yeah, but to the Native
as
American credit, the Chief Illinois was actually wearing a Cherokee headdress. It really wasn't an Illinois representation. So I get it. But
right. Well, hey, it is what
move forward, go on.
Yeah, onward and
play ball. And that's where Brett Bielema is coaching right now. Big Brett. Yeah, he's 7-3.
Well,
yeah, experience trumps theory every time, right? A little bit more experience, a little bit more down the road.
That's right.
He's doing great. Really happy for him.
Well, let's talk more about Tim Stanley. So your resume is pretty short. But you've done a lot, though. So you were the sales and national account team sales for Eastman Kodak, and you've been doing TDS, which is now known as TDSIT, for like 3 years?
Probably 4 or 5.
Has it been that much?
Well, TDS just stands for the initials of my name,
right?
Timothy Dale Stanley, because I got faced by the Xerox guy because I thought I was going to be a 1099. And the first line on this big, thick document was, what's the name of your company? So I put down TDS Inc. 9 weeks later, we came up with Total Document Solutions. And then over the years, as our industry has morphed more into IT services and security and compliance, I just stuck IT on the end of my name about 7 or 8 years ago. We tried to get into IT and failed miserably. And we backed down, and then when we relaunched, I went out and found a partner to help me.
Oh, fantastic.
So
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's go back a little bit, because you've been doing TDS since 96.
Correct.
All right, let's go back a little bit. Let's get into the nuts and bolts that makes up Tim. So where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised in Flora, Illinois.
Okay.
I guess we talk about ourselves. I recently got inducted into the Flora High School Hall of Fame in their inaugural class.
That's awesome.
Which was a huge honor. It was in a small town. They did a great job. Honored us, walked us out on the field at halftime, had a banquet the next night. it was really, really something special. All my kids made the ceremony. So it was a huge honor to grow up in Southern Illinois. I'm 100 miles east of St. Louis. So
let's stop right there. How did that feel to go back to that? Because it's been a few years since you've been.
It's been a few decades.
Yeah.
I was one of the oldest athletes they actually inducted. So I was just honored and thrilled they remembered.
That's
and
awesome.
So it was quite an honor. And
quite a bit changed since then?
Oh, yeah. Well, yes, but it's kind of a time. It's one of those towns that Walmart shut down.
Oh, okay.
It's one of those towns where the dollar used to bounce around about 15 times in a small town before it left.
Gotcha.
And now every dollar that's made kind of goes to the Walmart and then comes here.
Gotcha.
So, but in many ways, it's a time capsule with not a lot of change.
That can be a great thing.
So
it can be.
The population is about the same.
What's the population?
5,000 people, 5,500 people.
Gotcha. So that is very similar to what was your graduating class?
400 maybe.
Wow, you still had 400 with that small amount of people. Interesting. That's
There's
great.
not a lot to do in Florida except have kids.
I understand. Got to stay occupied.
Well, that wasn't the graduating class. That was the high school.
Yeah.
The high school had 400 something.
Oh, I got you.
Our graduating class was maybe one. I answered that incorrectly. It was probably 120, 130.
Okay. Well, that's still more than me. I come from a graduating class of 43.
You could have been valedictorian, Matt.
I could have been, but I had other things in mind at the time.
I understand. I understand completely. No, I had my talk was pretty reminiscent of the support that these small towns provide. They're all the students there, and everything's about the school. Everything's about the kids.
Yeah.
And if you can take advantage of that, it allows you to launch at maybe a better point in life than the previous generation. So
let me ask you this: from one small town boy to another, I mean, how did that? Would you say that was pivotal as far as your upbringing that in that location? How did that shape you as a person?
I think it developed confidence. I think it also developed when I went on to play football for the University of Illinois and got really hammered physically, got hurt where I couldn't play anymore. I think that small town, hometown background gave me some roots and gave me some grounding that I saw other guys didn't have, and how they handled it and how I handled it were two different ways.
Okay.
So a sense of family. My family is deep in Clay County, Illinois, and so I think it just gave me something to fall back on when athletics was no longer there.
What was an average day for young Tim in high school? What was Tim's focus?
Tim's focus was playing ball.
That's it.
And
Makes sense.
It was.
That's what
it was just that school was just, even in college, it was just something that was there that was in the way of getting to practice. I was one of the few guys that, our football field was probably half a mile from our stadium, and I always ran. I ran to practice.
Oh, wow.
I had the coach. I mean, I've been 5'17" since I was probably a freshman in high school. So, I mean, he gave me keys to the gym. I could always get in the weight room. I could always shoot baskets. Right. I could always condition and train. And so I just felt it was that's what I did. Of course, when you're 14, 15, 16, 17, you're highly interested in the other the other sex. That's so that
was why they make valedictorian.
Yeah. So it's just girls and playing ball.
That's awesome.
And school was there to facilitate all that.
Have you always been driven?
Always, yes. As a matter of fact, I'm looking for somewhere in my notes as I get older. I've been a big thing in goal setting. And I'm looking for a list that I know I've seen it as an adult, where I was in 7th or 8th, probably 7th grade, and I wrote down that I wanted to play on the varsity. I wrote down something else, and I wanted the Honda XR125 by then. So awesome. I have a list out there somewhere in all my junk where that goal setting and driven and being focused. I probably couldn't have articulated, but I always knew I was leaving Flora, Illinois. I knew I wasn't staying.
That's awesome.
I don't know. I couldn't articulate that, but
Yeah,
I knew in my nose.
You just knew this.
Yeah, I mean,
temporary.
right in my junior year, I got recruited by UCLA, Vanderbilt. I had the grades, and the University of Illinois, and then obviously chose to stay close to home.
Awesome. So that's a great segue. So let's talk about college, Tim. So what about college, Tim?
College was C's get degrees was my guys that just stay eligible, have fun. College at University of Illinois at that time was when Mike White was there, and they hadn't won since Dick Buckus had been there, 20, 30 years earlier. So when Illinois started winning, the alumni went nuts. The school went nuts, and the basketball team even won the Big Ten championship one year. And it was kind of like Animal House. You didn't know what was going to happen every weekend, but something was going to happen. Awesome. And I wish I would. All of us, at the reunions, we wish we would have known what we were doing and how rare of space we were in to have that much winning going on at a school like Illinois that doesn't traditionally win.
That's awesome.
But when we were there the whole time, we went to Liberty Bowl, played in Bear Bryant's last game, then we made it to the Rose Bowl, and then we went on probation, and then we made it to the Peach Bowl. Wow. And that was rare for a school like Illinois.
That's pretty epic.
So I understand what's going on right now up there with Brett Bielema being 7-3. And it just sets up, I think it sets up confidence. I think it, even though I got banged up and couldn't play a lot in my latter years, I was on the team. I was part of the program. And you gain confidence. I think being driven to play at that level and then having some success allows you to think that anything is possible. So that's what
Have you always kept that mindset of anything's possible?
Yeah. I shouldn't. And
I knew the answer to that, by the way. But
yeah, I think anything is possible. I think I'm a Christian, and I believe the Father sets things up. As if I'm willing to get my big rear out of bed every morning and go work. I mean, I think there's some sort of twist on a scripture about the birds don't worry about what they eat that day, but they got to get up and go get the worm though. So I think from coming from a farming community, you get up, you have a work ethic and a discipline, and that's all I've done my whole life is just get up and go. It's amazing what happens if you show up at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
A matter of fact, even with my sales reps now, I've got a team. We bought a company down in Little Rock about a year and a half ago, and I've got a two pretty substantial sales teams now, and they're all wanting to use all this cutesy SEO and AI and this email campaign or this thing, and I finally got so mad at him, I go, just go see the darn clients.
All right, so let's stop right there, man. So that you're hitting the nail on the head. This is wonderful. This is what people need to hear. So let's really elaborate on this point.
Okay. I felt that we were through COVID, where people, if you truly go after them, like most of my reps, I'll call them client relationship reps. I mean, they're not really salesy.
There's a key term there, relationship.
Right. And I want them to go see their people. It's amazing what happens. Over the phone, they'll hang up on you. On an email, they'll delete it, or if they'll even open it. But if you just don't send them a link, but you actually go see them, it's amazing what you see on their desk. Many times I've been in, and you can see a competitor's business card there. You can see a competitor's proposal there. Or worse, you go in and you see that there's a competitive machine or service being used that we provide. I mean, our goal is that 100% of our clients are using 100% of our services. It's a Super Bowl of wishes, but that's what we want. So the client will never tell you those things.
So
unless you show up. So I even had a T-shirt. I had 5 T-shirts designed. And if they don't go see their clients at the KPIs that we have in place, they have to wear the T-shirt all week. And I made them funny, but with graphics from the 50s and 60s on them. But you ever seen the blunt card?
No.
Memes? I'll show you the pictures of these T-shirts later, but I had one of my clients.
You shame them with a T-shirt?
I shame them with a T-shirt. I just think it's to drive home the point that people want to see you. If you're your client, and then you have to work those clients to gain their trust, to gain the best thing in our business, which is a reference.
Dude, so let me.
That's what we're going for.
Let me jump right in there and say, hey, man, 100% completely agree. So I literally had this talk the other day, and you're talking to a guy that's involved in a lot of different programs, marketing on different levels. You know what we do, and so, but I tell everybody, look, you can, and trust me, we've done them all. We've been a part of these for ourselves and for other people. You can run a billboard campaign. That's great.
Right.
You can run an email. You can do an email newsletter. That's great. These things can bear fruit. You can go out to events. Maybe. They can't. I say the word can.
Right.
Doesn't mean they will. Now, in all of this, you are getting brand awareness. There's always that brand awareness. But if you're looking, that ROI is not necessarily plain to say. And I'll say that you can do all these. You can do events too, and that's great. But at the end of the day, the 2 things that drive business are, number 1, relationships, and then number 2, referrals.
Oh, you got to have them.
And so, it's one, you establish a relationship with good work, a solid product, and honesty, transparency.
And execution of your core values.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And then the same thing with the referral. The referrals are people that have had that good experience that said, I'm telling you, Tim's the guy. See Tim.
Well, I wanted to back that up. So I basically have a third-party service called CEO Juice that monitors the software system that is used by everybody, 99% of the imaging business, copier dealers. And there's something called a net provider score. Net promoter score. You've heard about those?
Yes. Now, I don't have a ton of experience, but I know.
So it's a survey that basically I open my clients up to be surveyed by a third party, and that survey is essentially saying, "Would you recommend us?" In so many words, and oftentimes they'll say something nice about our technician or about our admin team. In our industry, if you're in the 70 percentile, not everybody in our industry opens up their kimono and says, go take blind shots at me and let's see what happens. So if you get in the 70s, that's really considered great. 77, 78, a low 80 is considered great. Guess where we are? 98 to 99 repeatedly over the last 2 or 3 years.
And I can prove case that. Study.
So what we're trying, because what I decided to do in my business was, it's so hard to get a client to change from one vendor to another in our business because of relationships and things that happen.
Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it too.
Yeah, and why dance with I'm dancing with this devil, why dance with another one? Copier industry kind of has that genre about it. Sorry. So we are actually always looking for the referral. Matter of fact, I'm sitting I'm not on the podcast, but I'm listening to one tomorrow about referrals. I think it's all about the referral, but the referral will never happen unless you have trust, unless they want to do that. And then I think all you have to do is ask them for it. So that's what we're doing. We're asking for the referrals. And I think after being in business for 28 years, we've got something called the social capital and the institutional memory to know where to go and where to ask that. So we try to do that every time. Are we perfect? No. Do we do a pretty good job? Well, 99% of the time, my clients say, yes, we do.
Well, as the leader, you're the head of sales, right?
Always.
So how do you how do you train your people? How do you get the message through on how to handle business the Tim Stanley way?
Well, first of all, like one of the things we do when we hire we've hired some people right out of college.
Mm-hmm.
Or anytime,
I know several of them. And they've been with you many years. You have a high retention rate too.
Yeah, which is extremely hard to do.
Yeah.
But what we try to do is say, you've got to give me 3 years. And which is it's a big ask in this industry, but it's really to learn the industry and the words and all the what is
lingo and nuances,
and all to learn that. But you might lose a lot of deals in your first and second year that come back up again in the fourth and fifth year.
Yeah.
Or if you sold something in the first or second year, most of our deals go in on 5-year agreements.
And
so if you don't stick around for 3 years, you're never going to get the opportunity to enjoy the work you put in. And I've got one kid.
That is a tough sell.
So I've got one young man, Andrew. He came on board, has been with me 3 years, and it's like magic right now. He's about to exceed his annual number when we really didn't do real well the first half of the year. I think the country's been in a recession.
It has.
I don't think they're.
Don't let anybody fool you. Here's the thing: we've
got people that aren't upgrading. We got people when they do upgrade, they're not upgrading to the similar type of machine they have now. They're just like, just give me something that'll make a copy. So we're downgrading, we're extending leases, we're doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and that makes it hard for sales reps to hit numbers.
100%. Well, when people are struggling to pay their employees, or when people are struggling to just buy groceries, let's be honest, because here's the reality there. We won't get off into it. Anybody that knows me, I look at both sides of things pretty regularly, but I take a lot of common sense stuff in front of your face. You can tell me whatever you want to. The news can tell me whatever they want to in regards to we're not in a recession. Right. But when I'm hearing from local businesses, I'm talking about small guys to medium-sized guys, even large guys, industry and outside of industry saying,
things are tight.
Man, we're down 10%. Man, we're 50%. I heard one guy tell me, Matt, he said, it's been a struggle. We're keeping the lights on, but we're down 30%. Don't tell me that consumer spending is not happening. Now, the essentials are always being purchased. Well, but it's down, dude.
Well, like our industry, maybe cars or anything that runs on
it's all connected though.
On a 3 to 5 year sort of cycle. Well, back up 4 years ago, where were we? We were right in the middle of COVID, and people weren't even going in the office. We did all kinds of downgrades and lease extensions, and that disrupted the complete 4 to 5 year cycle that everybody was on. And now we're trying to get adjusted to a new cycle. Of course, thrilled that people are going back. And then there's been some other things that have happened. Do you realize Bentonville Schools has mandated that middle school and junior high homework needs to be printed and taken home? And do you know why? Because mom and dad get more involved versus just watching the kid swipe their iPad and doing homework, but that also writing homework gets the parent involved, and writing on paper helps memory retention.
When did that happen?
Just this year.
That's great.
So
it's old school.
It's old school, but it works. Great. But it's good school.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. Let's use that one, Tim. It's old school, but it's good.
But it's good school. It increases their learning and their retention. So that's how we, teach our reps and do that. We do a lot of our teaching through spaced repetition learning, because they're never going to pick up the difference between one machine versus another machine.
Elaborate on that just a little bit for listeners.
Spaced repetition behavior modification.
Okay.
So basically, we have to be consistent, and we give them a little bit. Then we let them go do that. Then they come back in, and David gives them a little bit more. And then we build on that so that they can learn the business, learn the equipment, learn the software solutions. There's a lot of vertical, like legal or CPAs or schools or print for pay, where you can learn that vertical, but you got to learn the vertical. And then you can take those solutions to that vertical. Title companies, banks, things that they all have different things that you need to look for. So we just use a lot of spaced repetition learning. Just hit it. It's kind of like I'm from a farming community. You know what you're doing every spring. You know what you're doing every summer. You boom, 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 boom.
How long did it take you, and forgive me if anybody's watching, for whatever reason, I'm itchy a little bit today, Tim. What's going on?
Maybe you got your hair cut.
No, not today.
Your hair looks fantastic.
Shucks, this old thing.
By the way, the listeners need to know that you and I know each other.
Yes, we do know each other.
We've known each other for almost 2 decades. So.
Yes. We've had many good times together.
Yes, we have.
We've shared some laughs and shared some business, obviously.
You definitely upgraded. Your wife is absolutely fantastic. You outpunted your coverage, sir.
100. Well, I would fair to say the same for you,
yes.
Mr. Stanley.
I love it. I love it that everybody, Tina's actually a few years older than me, but everybody thinks she's a decade younger.
Oh, dang, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Well, I totally see that 100%.
Yeah, there you go.
She's great. Tina's great. And you got some great kids, too.
Thank you. Likewise.
Thank you, sir. So obviously you've got processes in place, right? You know what you said. You know you're going to do boom, 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 boom. So you've been doing it since 1996. At what point?
Well, actually, I've been doing it since 1988.
No, I know with Kodak.
With Kodak, I was selling copiers.
Right. Actually, we should probably go back. Before we get too far, we can go back into your history real quick. But I just want to, one thing I want to talk about this for a second, because one thing that I try to do on here with the guest is, offer those wisdom nuggets. And let's just face the fact, sometimes as a business owner, we just feel like we don't have it together. You feel like you're always behind or that sort of thing. At least I do, and I've talked to others that feel the same. I assume you've been there. And so,
absolutely.
At what point did you have together for these processes? At what point did you turn that page?
Well, I never have. I mean, just I've been in business for 28 years, and this first half of this first year, we absolutely laid an egg. I could have put a machine out in the front of my building and said it's free, and someone would have argued with me over, what do you mean it's free? I mean, we couldn't give things away.
Really?
And we figured it out and we got it corrected. So, I don't think anybody in business can ever say I've always said this, the minute I think I've got it figured out is the minute I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't have that attitude because there's too much going on. There's too much new stuff, especially with AI and all that nonsense. So I just think it's a matter of hitting certain business principles, like show up at 8:00, keep yourself humble, but be confidently humble. Say things with confidence. Just be open, be open to learn and do the things to be right. And true. And one of the best things we did, we hired a Pinnacle coach, Keith Trost, and he helped us outline our core values, our KPIs, our cadence, our leadership meeting, and all the things we've needed to do to grow. Because for so many years, I was a lifestyle business. We were a transactional business that worked off basically a 30, 60, 90 day forecast, which is what I did at Kodak too. But when I gave that up in 1996, started TDS, I just continued a normal transactional business mindset, which was everything is going to happen. Gee, Matt, it's a copier. Can you make a decision in the next 3 months? In so many words. And now after buying Business World about 1.5 years ago, I realized what.
And that's the Little Rock company.
That's the Little Rock company. I bought it. They'd been in business for 45 years. I realized Jerry Carlisle had actually been mentoring me for 12 years. And when he got ready to sell, he gave me the first right of refusal.
That's awesome.
So I decided I wasn't looking to buy anybody. But when we expanded, we immediately doubled in size. Well, now all of a sudden, I got 2 locations. I got over 40 employees. And now we're not going to be just a lifestyle business, meaning a lifestyle business is a business where I just make enough money for the lifestyle I want to live. Now we've got the opportunity to make in enterprise decisions. Enterprise, where the business per the pro forma will make more money than I actually need. I don't have grandeur of needing a helicopter or a jet or anything like that. So, I look forward to investing back in my people in the company and things like that. So now I'm thinking enterprise, and that's a totally different mindset. So we've been able, and then,
was that hard for you to transition in your head?
Well, the biggest transition has been as an oldest child to learn how to delegate.
Yes, I hear you.
To learn how to not have control and to learn how to trust people and to find people that you can trust and that are also smarter than you. David Farley has turned into the sales manager I never could be because he uses spaced repetition and he just, bam, every Monday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday, the guys all know what they're doing. I just kind of was running to the next deal.
I love David, by the way. Shout out to David Farley.
And shout out to he just closed a big deal today too, and he's got some new name he's using, Lord Master or something.
Good for him. So congratulations on the win.
Yes. So we do a lot of things like that just to have fun, have the culture, get the thing. But I got here with Eastman Kodak in 1988. And I got my job out of a recirculating document feeder. They just kind of lined us up in front of the machine, and wherever it stopped was the city. And the reason nobody from Kodak would come here was because it was Northwest Arkansas in 1988 then. And nobody with Kodak had just bought the IBM copier base, and they didn't have enough reps to cover all the machines in the IBM base. So they went out and hired a bunch of college yucks, got us trained up, and sent us out. So that's how I got here.
That's awesome.
And then,
so obviously, the Lord had a path for you. Any inkling of an idea in 1989 this would be what it is now in Northwest Arkansas?
None. I was here before the 540.
Yeah.
I was here when it only went around Fayetteville.
Yeah.
That was the extent of the interstate. And so I was here when it started opening up. It eventually just got up to this exit where the old Tell of the Trout was, New Hope Road. I can remember when it stopped there.
I remember when there was nothing here, and even when Design Science first moved over here and it's crazy, the Rogers area, because we moved into our building in 2016, and there's none of this.
None of
surrounds
it
us here.
Well,
when did you know it was going to be a boom town? At what year did you know it was going to be a boom town? Just out of curiosity.
Probably in '96 when I came back with Kodak, and I was starting my own company, and
just felt it.
And I knew something was going on. Tina, my wife, was the national account manager with MCI handling JB Hunt and Tyson. And I got to see what they spent on long distance back then. I'm like, oh, okay, there's something going on here. And the whole idea behind the Xerox agency program back in '96 was make your numbers, you don't have to move. Because with Kodak, I was here for 3 years. I was in Memphis for 3 years. I was down in Fort Lauderdale for 3 years. And then we tried to get back here. So that's kind of how that happened. And if you make your numbers, you can become part of the community, and you don't have to do the corporate relocation game. So that was the allure of being here and doing that.
Very nice.
But there's such for example, up here in Northwest Arkansas, 80% of the people that live here aren't from here. Now, that's not how it was 30 years ago, but that's kind of how it is today. And there's this whole feeling of abundancy. I think, that's the way one guy described me, because now I'm looking at this market compared to the Little Rock market where I have a whole other business.
Yeah, it's a complete.
And down there, 80% of the people that live and work there are from there. So it's a lot more close-shouldered in how they do business and who they let in and who they don't let in. So that's been a complete education of how am I going to market and break into the Little Rock market? Because Jerry Carlisle, the former owner, he passed away in the 11th hour of our deal.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we closed in July of 23, but he died in March.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
That was a
at the
struggle,
11th hour. Well, we were supposed to close in April.
Oh, wow.
So a lot happened there, and he was going to be the guy that took me around and, introduced me to people and had where I would have the institutional memory and the social capital to, get in as an owner and say hello to my clients and things of that nature. And
You essentially put it at a disadvantage then, as far as that, you got a friend of mine, friend of ours kind of thing.
Right. Well, I reached out to, I'm still friends with one of my buddies from Kodak, and he was friends with a couple 78-year-old retired bankers. And one of them said, you need a lobbyist. You need an ambassador. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, like an ambassador. I go, what's that? So we met and did that. So I hired these two 78-year-old bankers to literally take me around into the Little Rock business community and introduce me as exactly what I am, an Arkansas business owner who bought another Arkansas business, and I just want you to meet him.
That's great.
That's how I've been spending my marketing dollar down there, because I could have done a fancy radio campaign or a billboard campaign or a newspaper campaign. This takes longer, but it's more authentic. And now that I'm meeting with
you're getting FaceTime too.
And I'm getting FaceTime. I mean, it's 15 minutes. There's no pitch. But they take me into 98% of the time. It's not our client. Now, the 2 or 3 times they've taken me into our clients, I'm getting into the principal or the owner, whereas my rep I would have gotten stopped at the office manager's desk or the IT guy's desk. So these guys have been gold. Shout out to Randy Herlocker and Bill Smith on getting me in the door and getting me into know at least some of the owners of businesses in a market that I didn't have 28, 30 years like I've had here to get to know. I feel like if I want to get in someplace up here, I can.
Oh, yeah, but you got your umbrella covers this area. Over there, you're just
down there
shivering for a ledge.
Yeah, so we've kept the name Business World, and we called it Business World a TDSIT company. So because Jerry had a great 45-year run down there with that name. Now we'll be sunsetting that eventually, but we are just all about the client relationship and how to break in. And now that I've done that for a while, it's kind of, they're opening up their arms.
That's great.
Because they realize, first of all, I'm not from Chicago. Secondly, I'm not a venture capitalist, or I don't own a big mega dealership. And those were the 3 sort of entities that Jerry didn't want buying his company. He and I had similar core values and client post-sale support and things like that. But then I stumbled across something. This gets me around to my gift I have for you.
You have a gift?
I have a gift for you. I always bring gifts.
Awesome.
I didn't bring you a cooler of my Irish Dexter beef, but I did bring you a gift that I know you like.
I have enjoyed that, though. It's some good stuff.
So I got in with a group of friends about other business owners up here in Northwest Arkansas about 1.5 years ago. And being a former athlete, I'd always shunned this little habit, but I have learned that the power of a good cigar.
Oh, yes, sir.
Is extremely powerful.
Oh,
and these are Brian Waters at the Open Doors is a Perdomo strong house, and he's got me hooked on these doggone things. And at first, I just didn't get it. I didn't get how actors and other prime athletes, why are they smoking a cigar? Well, now I get it, because down in Little Rock, I'm down there 2 nights a week, and I got tired of sitting at the IMAX by myself on a Thursday night watching Meg 2 or something stupid. I would try to go see all the movies my wife would never want to go see. But the cigar culture in business is something I had no idea existed.
Yes.
And I've met some guys down there at the cigar lounge. A lot of times I would just go first 5 or 6 visits. I just kind of sat in a chair and watched the games and defragged and smoked a cigar. Well, then I got to meet, I look like a business owner. So some other business owners said, hey, why don't you come over here? Who are you and what are you doing here? They're more curious about who the hell I was and what was I doing in their town. Are you here to take our women and drink our beer, or what are you doing? So I got to know some great guys down in Little Rock, and now Little Rock's kind of opening up, and it's becoming a fantastic market, and I'm so bullish on Little Rock because of the synergy that I thought was there is actually there between Northwest Arkansas and Little Rock. It's palatable. There's, like up here in Northwest Arkansas, there's a lot of shiny new things being built that we referred to earlier and going on, but a lot of decisions aren't made here for my business. They're made, Procter & Gamble and Kellogg and a lot of these companies, they don't make their office equipment decisions here. It's made by their corporate. Down in Little Rock, there's more small to medium-sized businesses that are owned there that have offices here that we've never been able to do business with. So I am all about Little Rock. The Little Rock, Northwest Arkansas themed thing is just absolutely massive.
I think you hit the nail on the head. So what I tell everybody is, first let me back up. Thank you for this. Is an excellent cigar.
It is a good year too.
100%. 100%.
Which one was this? The 12-year? This is the 12-year. I smoked all the 30-year.
Of course.
But Brian has me going down to Nicaragua in February for the Perdomo factory tour.
That's fantastic.
He says it's a bucket list trip you don't know is on your bucket list.
Yeah, I've heard him say the same. Brian's a fantastic guy. Shout out to Brian at Open Door.
Yes.
Great selection.
Great atmosphere.
Great atmosphere too. Good people. I want to circle back to this in here in just a second. But I've always told everybody, to your point, Northwest Arkansas is the boom town. And there's a lot of retail decisions made here that affect North America and the globe.
Correct.
And a lot of people follow after Walmart. Outside of that, though, Little Rock is more old money is what I say it is.
Yes.
And it's people that, just like you said, are very invested into, not that people aren't invested in their community in Northwest Arkansas, it's just a different dynamic. And I think you hit the nail on the head because there is a certain old world charm that Little Rock possesses. And it is a tight-knit group. And I know that for a fact because I've experienced the same dilemmas.
Like up here in Northwest Arkansas, remember that old Looney Tunes cartoon with the big white dog and the coyote, and they'd check in at the tree, like, good morning, Ralph, good morning, Fred, and they'd fight like cats and dogs.
That's one of my favorites, yeah. The sheep herder, or the sheepdog.
I think my spirit animal, I'm some sort of great white Pyrenees, I don't know. There's a whole sub-joke on that later. But, if I run into my competitors out here, I kind of wave at them and say hello. If they don't like me, that's on them. I'm so busy doing my own stuff. I don't have much time to think about them outside of to understand them, to not be naive. But there's so much going on up here. If I see one of them, I wave. If they have an issue with me, I'm sorry. Move on down the road. Down in Little Rock, though, it's different. It's that old world, like they're pissed. Competitors down there are they want to put each other out of business pissed. And I think it's
pie, there's not as much pie to go around. There's not as much pie. That's what it is. Up here, I tell everybody, I had to talk about this on the last podcast. Up here, I've had people go after us, like on social media, like saying certain things, and we won't get off into that. I've had other people tell me comments that some of the competitors make, and I'm like, dudes, there's enough pie to go around. Right. Up here, we're in the land of milk and honey. Now, Northwest Arkansas is different from Little Rock. Little Rock has a lot of thriving businesses, and
they're small to medium size, which is what I want.
Right, but in that there is a higher competition level for that because it's not like big.
I think it's been caused by a lot of nepotism too. I don't know if that's the right word, but they hire. They kind of
keep it in the club.
About 26 years ago, I tried to hire one of my a rep from a locally owned dealership here, and I looked at it as non-compete, and I was just like, oh my gosh, what have I done? I don't want to do that. Right. So I've had a policy to just to avoid hiring locally owned competitive staff. But I'll go after corporate people because I understand the hell that these guys are in. But down in Little Rock, I just really noticed how they've hired away other top people's management or reps or specialists, really maybe to get them, but really to hurt the other guy. And I just won't do that. I'm not going to do that. I think there's lots of opportunity in Little Rock, and I'm very bullish about it. I think the Lord, I wasn't even looking to buy a company, and all of a sudden now I own a business in Little Rock I wasn't even looking to do, and the opportunity is massive and huge, but it's forced me to have to become an oldest child that doesn't do everything. It's forced me to get into an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, look, I'm a control freak. We're growing, we're expanding. We do so many other services other than just copiers, printers, and we sell smart boards, we sell IT, we sell phone systems. We do print overflow for our clients as needed. And when I say that, people are like, what? I go, yeah, I run 2 or 3 print shops. And what I want to do is keep the image in Arkansas. Why are we sending all these images to Chicago and to Dallas? When they look at you, they don't have a good answer for that. I go, let me get you to one of my local print shops, or if you're already doing it, let's just do the print overflow. As long as I'm not taking a job from one of my current clients, let's do it. Print is still everywhere, Matt.
Oh yeah,
it's everywhere. It's changing.
It is.
And certain industries are going more and more paperless, but print is prevalent.
Well, I would say just in my industry, I'll say there's been a lot of the back and forth. Obviously, there's no denying the impact that digital has on our world. But at the end of the day, people still like to look, touch, and feel what, that's just all there is to it. It's built into us. And I know that from the packaging and display world.
The wide format, cardboard printing.
Dude, it's
printing world is huge.
And I'll say this too, to add to it, there's certain things you said earlier in the conversation talking about middle schools, making them print out, but there's a certain retention too. I'm one of these guys, like, people call me crazy, but like, I can read something on a computer screen all day long, do it every day. But if it's something important, I'm printing it out.
Right.
I don't know why that is. It's just something built into me.
Right. Well,
but I've known others that are.
Yeah, I have to. I don't have a lot of time to read, but I'll read a book on Audible, and if I like it, then I go buy it, and then I go back through it and highlight it.
Yeah,
so,
I've done the same.
Yeah, the printed page is still alive and well. There's a lot of like nonprofits, for example, that are sending their fundraiser or their annual report out of state. I go, why are you doing that? Why don't you let me do that? Bring that print in. Let's be Arkansas strong. Let's be local strong and help grow our industry. One of the guys on my staff, he and his wife own a print shop.
That's awesome.
So I've got resources. We get things done. We know where everybody, and whatever the application is, we know where that is, and how to make that happen.
Let's switch gears because, unfortunately, and I told you the time would move fast. We're running out of time.
Yes, sir.
But hopefully you'll come back again.
Thank you. I'd be honored. I was honored even when you asked.
No.
And you had me at hello.
I love you, Tim. Yeah. Oh, man. Okay. Let's take a couple of seconds. We kind of seen your history. We see, your outlook on things. You're a driving force kind of guy. Don't back down from a lot. But let's talk about that journey. So if you were talking to a guy right now, not even necessarily a print shop or anything of that nature, not just any normal guy, the entrepreneur,
right,
So you've been doing this for 28 years now by yourself?
28 on my own, 30 since 1988.
Okay.
So 34, 35 years.
You've been doing your industry for 34, 35 years. You've been a business owner for 28. Mm-hmm. So you've seen a thing or two.
Yes.
So, top of mind, what advice do you give to somebody that's starting their own business or wants to, propel a business?
I would encourage them to, before they start, hopefully to really think it through. Mm-hmm. Is it something they love to do? Mm-hmm. And quit jumping around. One of the reasons people go, well, why have you done so well, or how have you made it? This is plan A. I don't have a plan B. Mm-hmm. I learned how to do something and I figured it out. Luckily, I had a large corporation, $1 billion, mm-hmm. $10 billion corporation called Kodak that taught us. But once I learned my trade 8 years in, I went out on my own. Mm-hmm. And I burned the boat mentality. Mm-hmm. I wasn't going to jump around. I was all in. Mm-hmm. Like to the extent that my wife left her job at MCI.
MCI.
When Zach was born, mm-hmm. She worked for another couple of years, but 2 years after Zach was born, I don't have an escape plan. I don't have an escape hatch. This is what I'm doing. And I kind of got that from being raised in a farming community. Mm-hmm. I knew that the old guys down at the coffee shop had made it because they had just done farming all their life and they knew everything about farming. Mm-hmm. So I would encourage, don't get in it thinking that you have to have a plan B. Mm-hmm. Get in it thinking that this is exactly what I'm going to do and I'm going to become an expert in it. Mm-hmm. I even went on the air when I got here to Northwest Arkansas. I went on the Cumulus KFAY talk radio show, and I did talk radio for 4 years every Thursday morning for an hour, right before the Rush Limbaugh. And all I did was talk about copiers.
Really?
I had no idea what I was saying or doing, but I just took the approach of I'm the expert. Mm-hmm. And, I was full of piss and vinegar and probably too much testosterone. But, knowing what I know now, I didn't know jack back then, but I knew a few fundamental things. And I'd have some people on the show, and it was talk radio was kind of the early podcast of the era. And so I'd have people call in, sometimes with a good question, sometimes we'd hang up. But I just took that attitude. So, and I read a book recently that you have to be unoffendable. And there's a great book out by Brant Hansen on that really expands that he's more of a spiritual side with it. But I think that I've kind of taken this attitude of, I used to get offended, and you just can't get offended. You have to be unoffendable. Mm-hmm. And basically, as Christians, who are we to ever really be offended? Yeah. Right. I sell copiers, for goodness sakes. Really? You probably got another one somewhere else. Or, we'll get you a loaner. There's nothing about in our DNA that has denied you your free toner. Maybe you unhooked the app, which was measuring that, and it's, or maybe you didn't pay your bill, but everything about us is designed. We want you printing. Mm-hmm. There's nothing in our DNA that says we don't want you printing. Mm-hmm. So, but you just have to come up with a plan A, no escape, burn the boats, and be committed to becoming the best at whatever you do. And now that I've moved into a dealership model that is away from a Xerox sales agency model, oh my gosh, I see how I got beat. Mm-hmm. As a pure independent dealer, we carry 3 different lines now. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. These guys, it's amazing we beat these guys. Mm-hmm. It was just the power of the brand.
Well, let me speak to that for a second. So, all right, Tim's saying persevere, plan A, move forward, onward and upward, right? But let's be real. Let's get real. Mm-hmm. You've had some struggles.
Absolutely.
So what is your primary advice for people that things are looking bleak or things aren't panning out the way you want them to or had expected or planned for? What is Tim's advice in a situation of that nature?
Well, get on your knees every morning
Mm-hmm.
and stop trying to battle it yourself and ask the Lord to help.
Mm-hmm.
I've had to do that multiple times and still do that.
Mm-hmm.
Did it this morning.
Me too. Mm-hmm.
You're not in, quit trying to do something by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably somebody out there somewhere, someplace, this wheel has already been created.
Mm-hmm.
Find it and recreate and do your version of that wheel.
Mm-hmm.
But don't do it by yourself. You need to have mentors. You need to have, I've been blessed to have some older men in my life that, I was initially, 20 years ago, had payroll due and I needed 20 grand and I had, 5 grand in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Where was that going to come from?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, don't worry, it'll be there. And sure enough, somehow, some way, it got there. And we've never missed payroll. We've just been able, but it's been tight.
Mm-hmm.
There were times where I didn't take home a check.
Mm-hmm.
And Tina's going, well, your son is growing like a weed. Zachary needs new shoes. Amanda needs this. Christina needs that.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? And so you endeavor to persevere. Clint Eastwood movie quote.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be tough, but you're going to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be tough. You're going to get through it. And surround yourself with solid, godly mentors. Surround yourself with a good business plan. And I would find a business also, the biggest thing that's changed in my business model is when I was a sales agent for over 20 years, one of the reasons we became so transactional was we only got paid when we sold. I never got any of the monthly reoccurring revenue. So I would find a business where you have contractual MRR, monthly reoccurring revenue.
Mm-hmm.
That changes everything from a foundational standpoint that allows you to be able to think.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we still have to sell every month to do everything we want to do, but we've got some MRR always coming in. Mm-hmm. And MRR allows you to make decisions based off of pretty much guaranteed cash flow.
Right. Yeah. Everything is honey on top of that. Yeah. It's kind of like a retainer model almost. Right. And also that does add, that adds a lot more value to your EBITDA,
Correct.
And that's, these are some of the little wisdom nuggets that you learn along the way.
I didn't even know what EBITDA was till I wanted to buy Jerry's business.
Are you serious? Well, I shouldn't laugh. I have a little bit of advantage. My background, my first career was in, banking, finance. Okay. So I had a lot of mentors that, I wasn't always down in the weeds with them, but I learned a lot of things. But yeah, that's a big deal. Did you know this? Interesting fact. Did you know that a subscription-based model on anything? So a normal EBITDA for you guys that I'm not going to get off into it, but a normal EBITDA rating is like a times 3 in most cases.
3 to 5.
Yeah. Sure. Most people go off the lowest one just as a,
Yeah.
But did you know that a subscription-based model, if it's truly something that is easily that can be replicated in a subscription-based, it's a times 12.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. Something to be aware of.
I'm going to try to get more of that.
Yeah, give me some of that.
Just give me something to work on. Thank you, man. No, it's been great. This has been awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Tim, always great to see you. I appreciate you coming on. You will come on again.
I'd love to.
All right. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, sir.